Shalom, my friends. The Ruach HaKodesh recently has been dealing with me about sharing with you my personal testimony. I mean, many of you may feel like you already know me, but this should help you know me a little bit better. Um, and sometimes to tell a story, we have to tell a sort of a preemptive story to get us to the story we really want to share. So that's what I'll be doing today. I grew up in the country. When I was a boy, I used to run and play, and my favorite place was the woods, was nature. And I'd go down, there was a creek about a half a mile behind our house, and I would go down to that creek all the time and just spend time in the woods, in nature. And in later years, I spent time with the Father in the woods. But I was an 8-year-old boy, and we went to a small church in the community. I had about 50 to 100 members, it varied. We had revivals almost every summertime, along July, August, somewhere along in there every year. We'd have a revival. A visiting minister would come and preach a message, and people get saved or whatever. And, well, when I was 8 years old, I went to a revival. It was in the evening time, and I wasn't convicted of anything. I didn't even know what sin was yet. I didn't understand those things. My sister, though, being 2 years younger than me, apparently was convicted of her sins, and maybe she understood them. Some people come to an age of accountability younger than other people do. So she said, "Let's go, Ken." So I went with her. Her older brother, I always took up for her and everything. So when she invited me to go with her to an altar, I accompanied her. And then other people accompanied us as well. And they were praying for us, and we were supposed to be praying as well, but I didn't even know how to pray, so I don't recall praying at all. I may have, because I had heard other people pray, so I knew something about it, but I just didn't have a personal prayer life because I wasn't yet the age of accountability. And so they prayed for us, and when everybody finished praying, we stood up, and everybody congratulated me for being saved, and I shared it, with other people that I knew that I had been saved. The thing is, I hadn't truly prayed a prayer of salvation myself. And so as time went by and I began to understand sin, when I began to understand, I started feeling convicted when a preacher would preach. It would sound like he was just talking straight to me. And I was convicted always. Especially the older I got, the more convicted I felt. When I was 13 years old, going to this same little country church, we had a revival along about August. The preacher preached a message. I felt like he was preaching it to me, and so I went to the altar. I had been going to the altar a lot at that time in my life because I just didn't understand how I was supposed to be saved, but yet I kept sinning and didn't feel good, didn't feel right. When the preacher would preach, I couldn't take it. So this time, though, when I went to the altar, my mother came up and knelt down beside me, put her arm on my shoulder. She just spoke gently in my ear. "What's wrong, Ken?" I said, "Is something bothering you? You've been coming to the altar a lot recently." And I was afraid to admit that I didn't know if I was saved or not. I was terrified of that. What would people think of me if I told them I didn't know if I was saved or not? But I told her. Then I had tears running down my face. And I said, Mama, I don't know if I'm saved. She said, well, son. And of course, we didn't know any other name except Jesus at that time. So that's the name she used. She said, well, son, all you have to do is tell Jesus that you're sorry for your sins and that you want him to come into your heart and want him to forgive you. I said, and he will. So as she instructed me, I did. I turned back to the altar. My tears were dripping on the altar. And I prayed to him and asked him to forgive me. I repented of my sins. And then I told him I believed in him. I believed that he died for my sin. And then he rose from the dead. And I asked him to come into my heart. He did. And something wonderful happened. The people around me disappeared. The church disappeared. I saw clouds all around, especially heavy clouds above me. And I looked up, and there was an opening in the cloud. And I instinctively just jumped up and went through that opening. And a 13-year-old boy was standing there, and a crowd of people, and I was shouting to the top of my voice. And when I went through that small opening in the clouds, I saw light everywhere. I mean, so strong, so bright, and so warm, and it was light that I could feel, and I felt love. I don't know how else to explain it to you except that I felt love in that bright light. And I'm inclined to believe that it was actually the Father's presence that I was in at that point. And that is and was and will always be my story. Now, if I can wipe away the tears, you may have a story that you want to share, but you don't have any way to share it. I'm willing to share my channel with you if you would like to share your testimony with others and you want it to be aired on a channel. I thought that the ones that aren't able to put up their own channel and do this sort of video editing and recording, I would offer my services to you. I'd love to help you if you want to share your story, your testimony, maybe even share something miraculous that happened in your life. I would be glad to work with you on that. I have made an email. It's this channel with Ken at yahoo.com. The email address is going to be below this video, down below when you end the video. And even on my main channel, you go to the About section, and down below in the About section, you can say to view the email, and it will show you the email address. Well, what you can do is you can email me with your story, include a photograph of yourself so that I can put your photograph on the video, or you can actually do a voice recording if you're capable of doing that, and tell your story, and I'll let you tell your story on the channel. And maybe some of you could do a video recording. Maybe you can do a simple recording with your phone, and then I can share that if that's what you want. We'll work those things out. But anyway, tell me what you think. in the comments if you think this is a good idea. I personally think that it would be great for us to be able to share our stories, our testimonies with others, and maybe even encourage others to turn their life over to the one true Father. I hope you have enjoyed this visit here on this channel. Not my channel, his channel. I love you, and I wish you the best. Shalom, my friends.